This is a presentation of the Badlands Media Network.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have somehow, I think, gotten in the 8 o'clock minute. Need to adjust, and I've tried to play around with my lighting a little bit. I have this machine that throws out too much for the camera, I think, so I've just brought a lamp in here. Okay, if I can modify the damn thing. But I'm thrown off this morning, and that's the norm, and I think it's just this week. Uh, my laptop has been crashing, and I say, okay, I got to prep the desktop in case the laptop crashes. It'll only be a minute or three for me to switch and get back up on the air. But yeah, a little frustrated. So be it. So be it. Um, Hopefully y'all can hear me. Yeah, yeah. It's another beautiful day in creation. It was North Florida boy was a little cool this morning. I woke up and it's like, wow, is it 70 degrees in this house? That's cold for me. So I had to turn on a little bit of heat. But yeah, I thought about reading two different articles to you. I did look at my travel schedule finally, and I don't take off from Orlando until noon tomorrow. I thought I would have to do a recorded program, but I don't think so. I will either do a program tomorrow from my brother's house in Orlando or from some remote location. Might just test out my Tesla. I do believe everything is set up now so that you can do a live stream from your car. And I may just test that out this afternoon just to verify that everything works. So tomorrow could be an interesting day, including travel. So, but I almost want to just, having been thrown off, ramble. And these people do on YouTube, these ask me anythings. And I'm not down for an ask me anything and I will answer. Yeah, no. The way I've lived my life is you can ask me any damn thing. I choose what the hell I want to answer, period. And yeah, I see somehow in the chat, I'm kind of curious, what was it about Baseless that had you move on? Again, what I hope to do out in Arizona is mix and mingle with everybody and try, and I'm hoping actually the network, John and everybody may have set something up so that there's some kind of a sit down spot, and every content creator who's there can do a 2 or 3 minute spiel on their show, what they hope to try and accomplish from the show, what's the vibe of the show, what might you like, that kind of thing, whatever they want to say. It could be 30 seconds. And then that would allow me to include it, on my morning show. I would show everything, every everybody who sat down and gave a little blurb about their program. Okay, I will show that because I haven't been able to meet most of the folks on the chat on the network and not even interact with them to say, hey, how you doing? So I'm very curious to get out there and do that kind of thing casually. It's one of the to me it's one of the beautiful things about mixing and mingling. And although I am a loner, I do enjoy the company of people, and I enjoy mixing and mingling. I just don't have to have it. But wow, I'm really rambling this morning. Let me get in here and see if y'all have Wait a minute, what happened? Wait, there's some kind of an issue with Baseless and Patrick. Hmm. Oh no. Oh no. Um, okay. Patrick took issue with someone. When Patrick takes issue, he can he can really the boundaries are not strong. Oh, flat Earth was the topic. Okay, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. Hey, and especially this week, hopefully there will be harmony, peace in the valley, and and all that good stuff in Arizona. I fully expect that. Um, I want to try and read. Wow, what a morning! I want to try and read an article I mentioned a long time ago about that I've got to log into. Give me a minute. The laptop crashed. I thought I was going to have to transfer to the desktop, but I brought the laptop back up and everything worked fine. So I'm scrambling just a little bit as y'all sip your coffee. And reminder to do the same. I'm still trying to process through how I'm going to let myself down gently and maybe for a month try to give up my coffee just to see what kind of impact it may have. I haven't decided to do that, but I'm thinking about it. But the berberine and the other do-it-yourself stuff may have an effect that says, no, you don't have to go down that road. And I'll be a very happy man if that is in fact the case. I'm going to first things because the article was interesting. I also have a possible column I want to read from American Greatness. That is separation of church and state. Um, Now, StreamYard showed me the other day. I finally did a little bit of training on how I just don't like. First Things has this, I guess, artificial intelligence voice that will read the article to you. Um, maybe, maybe I should just no, not the coffee. Yeah, yeah. I'm highly unlikely to do that. But let me see if I can follow some directions. Share the screen and do the proper tab. This is not difficult. This is the tab. That is the share. Everything indicates that it's working. Someone just tell me, I know we have a delay, but just tell me when you hear this. Are you seeing the screen properly? How gay marriage changed America. Oh, good gracious alive. Stop with the Matthew Schmitz. This is from the April 2023 edition. Can y'all see that? Wow. You know what? In fact, why don't I just click the live and see for my damn self? You see it. Okay, Eurythmic. Thank you. Um, click the live and see for my damn. Okay. So I'm just going to read and try to get through this thing this morning. I think you'll see why I was very intrigued by the column. See if I can increase your size a bit. In November 2022, the ACLU's Deputy Director for Transgender Justice came out against gay marriage. Quote, I find it disappointing how much time and resources went into fighting for inclusion in the deeply flawed and fundamentally violent institution of civil marriage, Chase Strangio wrote on Instagram. 2 months later, Taylor Silverman, a female skateboarder who gained prominence after objecting to the inclusion of biological males in women's athletic competitions, criticized gay marriage from the opposite direction. Quote, I used to think gay marriage was okay until all of the things that conservatives warned us would happen next actually happened. Now it seems it really was the beginning of the dangerous, slippery slope. Yes, absolutely, positively. And more people are starting to see this. With the passage of the Respect for Marriage Act in 2022, the legal status of same sex marriage has never been more secure. I don't know about that, but okay. Public opinion is strongly in its favor, even as not so long ago it was overwhelmingly opposed. Yet the ideological case for same sex marriage seems strangely fragile, subject to challenge on both the left and the right. Yeah, because when you've pushed the narrative and people just don't want to be deemed racist or sexist or whatever, they're going to give you a basic answer that's not going to tell you the real deal on how the country feels. That's my personal opinion. Back to the column. It has been 8 years since the White House was lit with rainbow colors in celebration of the Supreme Court's ruling in Obergefell v. Hodges. This is something I think Clarence Thomas is going to lead the charge to review and back the hell up on. Again, personal opinion. Hailed as the enshrinement of a new consensus, the national recognition of same sex marriage can also be understood as an event that accelerated polarization, leading some on the left to press for ever more changes and some on the right to doubt the very possibility of liberal governance. Not all of the effects of gay marriage are obvious or were anticipated. In the run up to the national recognition of gay marriage, much attention was paid on both sides to such questions as whether children raised in same sex households could thrive as did those raised by a mother and a father. Important as they were, these discussions distracted from another way in which gay marriage would affect national life. Its recognition changed the makeup of the American elite by causing more conservative and religious actors to lose standing, while left wing activists gained power and prestige. For thoroughgoing progressives, there's nothing to lament in these developments, but for figures on the center left, gay marriage has had an ambiguous legacy. Buyer's remorse is how I would call it. Gay marriage was the first triumph of cancel culture. This is why I wanted to read this piece. It's an interesting claim. It's a very interesting claim and somewhat persuasive. Sasha Issenberg, a historian of gay marriage, has observed that by deploying the novel weapons of, quote, shaming and shunning, activists, quote, changed the economic terrain on which cultural conflict was waged. Now, I would say here, they did and they didn't. The invisible enemy, our invisible enemy, used the corporatist industrial complex to enforce this bullshit. And it has been unrelenting. And I think the nation is finally saying, we've had enough of this bullshit. Back to the column. One of the early breakthroughs occurred when 8maps.com appeared online. The site used information gathered under financial disclosure laws to list the names and locations of people who had donated to California's Proposition 8 referendum that stated marriage could take place only between a man and a woman. Suddenly, American citizens came under pressure for their political views, not just from their friends and families, but potentially from anyone with an internet connection. Some reported receiving envelopes with powder and death threats. This is how the game was played. Nobody checked them and allowed this foolishness to spread. We see it now, but it was hard to see back then. Back to the article. Donors to Proposition 8 were also targeted through their employers. This is what I mean about the corporatist industrial complex. Scott Eckern, the artistic director of the California Musical Theater in Sacramento, was forced to resign after his colleagues learned that he had backed the referendum. Brendan Eich was forced to step down as the CEO of Mozilla in 2014 when his past support of Proposition 8 was publicized. These people do not give a damn about privacy, they give a damn about power. Back to the column. Those who denounce cancel culture often speak as though it was hatched by radical activists and intolerant students and see the contest as pitting liberal tolerance against illiberal denunciation. But as the history of gay marriage shows, the reality is more complicated. Cancel culture was pioneered in part by veteran political activists such as the lifelong Republican Fred Karger, never heard of him, who organized demonstrations outside commercial properties owned by backers of Proposition 8. And it arose in alliance with corporate power, yes, as seen when corporations declared capital strikes by threatening to pull out of states that guaranteed religious freedom to those who rejected gay marriage. In recent years, figures such as Andrew Sullivan have emerged as brave and eloquent critics of wokeness. Andrew Sullivan is a real interesting study. I'm sure many of you know of him. I certainly followed him as someone who was gay but conservative. And they really did a number on Andrew, and they made him bend the knee. And I think he's starting to slowly but surely get his backbone back. Back to the column. They have opposed its particular injustices while exploring its deep origins. They have tied wokeness to the flowering of illiberalism on the left and the right, but they have failed to examine how these forms of illiberalism were encouraged by the campaign for a policy they support. Yes, yes, yes. Gay marriage changed the character of important institutions in ways its moderate supporters have not yet recognized. Through the operation of cancel culture, high-profile opponents of same-sex marriage were silenced, fired, or forced out of important institutions. In 2011, Paul Clement, the distinguished appellate lawyer and former Solicitor General, was compelled to leave his law firm in order to continue his legal work on behalf of the Defense of Marriage Act, a case that his firm had been pressured to drop by the so-called Human Rights Campaign. In 2015, Kelvin Cochran, the chief of the Atlanta Fire Department, was fired after writing a book that expressed opposition to homosexuality. In 2023, Jacob Kersey, a police officer in Georgia, was placed on leave after writing on Facebook, quote, "God designed marriage. Marriage refers to Christ and the church. That's why there is no such thing as homosexual marriage." Now, this is an important point to me, in a country founded on Christian principles with inalienable rights bestowed by God Almighty. And the way these folks have worked to blur that, to crap on that essentially, to diminish that, should have been a warning to all of us that they had ulterior motives and they were working for an invisible enemy that did not come from a faith-based orientation. Back to the column. Eliminating religious and conservative voices from important institutions changed the character of those institutions. People who had previously been liberals or centrists suddenly found themselves the rightmost members of institutions in which progressive causes enjoyed uncontested prestige. One victim of this process is Sullivan himself, who in 2020 was compelled to leave New York Magazine because its junior staff had declared him a bigot for his rejection of progressive pieties on race and gender identity. Across his career, Sullivan has been admirably willing to break with conventional views. He has also spoken movingly of the necessity of treating those with whom we disagree with liberality. But legal recognition of same sex marriage has in important ways worked against his better instincts by limiting the range of acceptable views. Yes, indeed. The popular cartoon shows a liberal man remaining in place as his fellow liberals move left, so far left that they come to view him as on the right. This is one of my points about fascism and Nazism and how hard the left wing has worked to paint both of those traditions as right wing, when in fact they're merely the rightmost wing of leftist progressives. That's all it is. They don't even see the center right. They don't even see it. Back to the column. That shift in perspective is part of the story of the transformation of American institutions in recent years. The other, and essential, part is the deliberate elimination of outspoken right-wing figures, often with the support of moderates, centrists, and liberals. Yep, well-meaning people who have been used as useful idiots. Back to the column. These establishment figures frequently share the principles of their progressive counterparts while lacking their consistency. Once the vocal right-wingers are gone, liberals must either preserve their self-conception as centrist by moving to the left, or they must become de facto right-wingers in a context where being right-wing has personal and professional cost. Most choose to move with the times. The go along to get along crowd is what they're called. LGBT organizations played an important role in the construction of this new reality. When the Berlin Wall fell, the Committee for the Free World, a neoconservative think tank, closed its doors. Its director, Midge Decter, concluded that it had served its purpose and so should dissolve. Gay rights organizations chose a different path after Obergefell. Rather than declare victory and go home, they moved on to the next frontier: transgender rights. Religious conservatives had already been largely eliminated from important institutions and so posed no internal obstacle to the pursuit of this goal. Feminists who remained mostly went along with the idea that men could become women. Those who chose to speak were labeled TERFs and targeted with the same arsenal of social, professional, and financial threats that had once been deployed against opponents of same-sex marriage. Pause there and just make sure there are no issues in the chat. You can hear me, you can follow along, etc., etc., etc. Yeah. Properly mourn. I see in the chat y'all have gotten quite into some discussion of death and mourning. Oh my goodness, we're still Patrick and Sammy. Yeah, Anheuser-Busch. They've just they've taken advantage of people trying to do the right thing who just can't think through the situation, mostly because they can't stand firm on faith. When you really get down to it, that's the real beginning of the problem. But yeah, okay, so I've verified you can hear me. I'm going to continue and finish out this column. And yes, please do give me that thumbs up, ladies and gentlemen. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, back to the column. When rainbow colors were projected onto the White House, the symbolism was broader than the celebration of any one Supreme Court decision. It was a sign that something fundamental had changed about the country. I would say it had appeared to change. Nothing fundamental has changed about the country. We've allowed craziness when we should have stood firm and called bullshit on bullshit. That's my opinion. But it appears that something fundamental had changed about the country, that an older order, symbolized by the stars and stripes, had given way to a new one that marched under the rainbow banner. Outrageous. This regime rejects neutrality as it seeks to inscribe its political priorities in American law. Religious freedom, due process, and equal treatment before the law must all yield before the imperative of inclusion. That is the line right there. And it's the imperative of inclusion these punk ass people use to maintain power. It ain't about inclusion, it's about maintaining power. Back to the column. If the expression of certain views makes members of protected groups uncomfortable, those views must be silenced. Now, that's an anti American approach. If legal norms cause an insufficient number of cases of sexual harassment or rape to result in conviction, the norms must be abandoned. Christianity famously introduced a distinction between the sacred and secular realm, differentiating the things that belong to God from those that belong to Caesar. Absolutely. The new American regime has collapsed this distinction, creating a system in which full citizenship is closely tied to correct belief, right belief. They've turned it all upside down. And this has been the goal from the very beginning. I refer you back to Yuri Bezmenov. Bring chaos to America. Make America defeat itself. That's the only way America can be defeated. Back to the column. This new regime is not narrowly tied to the cause of gay rights. Its quest for inclusion is all encompassing, and its priorities, including the gender transitioning of effeminate boys and tomboyish girls, at times contradict the preferences of gay activists. It seeks to make queerness normal, to move what had been marginal to the center of society. This is why it has not been content to rest with gay marriage, but has proceeded to insist on drag queen story hours in public libraries and sex education for third graders. Beginning at the earliest ages, the weird must be made familiar. Now, this column, this paragraph, is where I've said before, I've got some gay friends and they're not down with all this craziness. Some certainly are. But there is dispute within the gay community itself on this craziness. And there was always a split in the gay community on the question of marriage. Some gay people weren't interested in the subject at all. Some were totally opposed to the marriage because they recognized what marriage was for. There was a biblical basis for marriage, a procreation basis for marriage. And that got totally glossed over by these activists and those folks who we put in positions of power who punked out. Back to the column. These developments indicate the triumph of the more radical and consistent side of a long-running debate. Gay marriage has always had critics on the left who regarded it as an attempt to entrap queer desire within a dead institution. Sullivan's insight was that America would be quicker to normalize gayness if gayness aspired to normality. Yep. If acceptance meant allowing gays to participate in an utterly conventional institution. But this was an ambivalent aspiration. Yep. Sullivan himself warned against the stifling model of heterosexual normality and argued that heterosexual relationships could stand to take on something of the gay relationships' necessary honesty, its flexibility, and its equality. Good gracious. This is where Andrew Yeah, no, no, there's no honesty, flexibility, and equality in gay relationships if you really want to know the truth. The queer would be normalized by the queering of the normal. Obergefell was supposed to tame homosexuality, but it has precipitated a regime of more radical queerness, from marriage as a human right to marriage as a deeply flawed and fundamentally violent. The sexual left's long running dispute about the nature of marriage and its relation to gayness seems to be getting resolved in the direction of the marriage skeptics. Progressive capture of institutions explains the emergence of a more populist and radical right. When conservative and religious people find themselves excluded from important institutions, they will naturally tend to acquire anti institutional attitudes. When they see that ostensibly liberal institutions are arrayed against them, defining their beliefs as bigotry, they may turn against liberalism wholesale. Gay marriage has played an important role in this process. Legal protection of gay rights has entailed the penalization of traditional views of marriage. Any employer or employee who expresses opposition to homosexuality in stark or unsubtle terms can be regarded as creating a hostile work environment or engaging in hate speech. Again, this brings you back to the corporatist industrial complex, including trial, lawyers, lawsuits. It's just incredible. Oh man. Institutional embrace of the rainbow banner, blazoned on police cars and flown at U.S. embassies, puts the lie to the claim that our regime upholds procedural neutrality or is equally open to every creed. On the right, the success of gay marriage caused many to ask what the conservative movement was capable of conserving. The conservative movement had been characterized by its simultaneous commitments to moral traditionalism, laissez faire economics, and liberal principles of argument. But after Obergefell, the business interest it had defended turned against the convictions of religious Americans. Likewise, the conservative belief in the importance of free speech and of transacting public business in the currency of reason and argument came to be seen naive beside the cancellation tactics employed by the left. Perhaps an unstinting defense of corporate power is not finally conservative in its effects. Perhaps America, whatever it claims to be, is hardly a liberal democracy. These dark reflections led some in unexpected directions. A radicalization of the left prompted a radicalization of the right. When the Supreme Court announced a constitutional right to same sex marriage, the sky didn't fall, as supporters of the decision wryly observed. But their claim that the legal recognition of same sex marriage would change little about American life has become harder to sustain. Same sex marriage may remain fixed in our law, but its placement there has caused much else to shift. Matthew Schmitz, founder and editor of Compact. I thought that was a fantastic column. Certainly things, let me take off the sharing, certainly things that we can vary on. We're not ever going to agree completely one to another. We all have opinions. But that raised a really important point that I hadn't thought about. And to me, it links it back to Barack Obama because really and truly, Barack Obama was lying his ass off. I think most of us knew that then when he was talking about defensive marriage. He didn't give a damn about defensive marriage as between a man and a woman. He was saying that for conventional political reasons to fool enough of the people who just don't pay much attention to politics. But if you were paying attention, you knew Barack Obama was bullshitting. And to then do what he did while in office, yeah, told the truth of the matter. And it has had tremendous, tremendous impact in our country. I mean, even if you just look at the black church, oh my goodness. But anyway, I think I need to get to some ads. I'm 30 35 minutes in, and I don't want to get too much off track. But given my scrambling this morning, I got to figure out, okay, what does getting on track mean? I want to play my first. No, I want to read my first ad. I've got to find the right. There we go. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Badlands Media is proud to be partnered with our friends at Furman Power Equipment as the sponsor of our first event, the Great American Restoration Tour in Chandler, Arizona, which is this Thursday through Sunday, April 20th through the 23rd. I fly out tomorrow at noon. If you're in the Phoenix area or can get there, there are a limited number of single-day in-person tickets still available, but everyone should have a virtual ticket. Remember that you'll have access to replays with either type of ticket, so get your tickets now on our website at badlandsmedia.tv. Furman generators are portable, versatile, durable, dependable, and user-friendly. Furman Power Equipment will be there to help you conquer anything life throws your way. Badlands Media is powered by Furman, and you should be too. For all your generator needs, go to FurmanPowerEquipment.com and use the discount code BADLANDS at checkout for 17% off. That's FurmanPowerEquipment.com and discount code BADLANDS for 17% off at checkout. Okay, the second of the block. Let me find our friend Kirk and give you the good news about the gold and silver.
Silicon Valley Bank debacle demonstrated just how fragile our banking system can be. We don't know what the future holds, but history has shown us that physical gold and silver are a reliable store of value to protect your wealth. Don't let fear of the unknown paralyze you. Take the first step towards securing your financial future. Reach out to Kirk and his team at KirkElliottPhD.com/Badlands. That's KirkElliottPhD.com/Badlands.
All right, we're back. I'm going to go to the chat. I hope, let me see, that the reading didn't run y'all off. Actually, I need to. This is the thing about you get on the wrong computer. My old brain doesn't remember now. Which one am I operating? Which one am I operating from? Where do I find my chat? There's my chat. Okay. You know, I have to say, reading this, I don't know quite how it hit you, but it just, and this is probably because it's most, relevant to me in my applicable upbringing. It just made me think so much about Barack Obama. Not the whole Barack Obama gay thing. I don't dwell on that. The Big Mike, I don't like that. But they worked a game on us, the two of them, Barack and Michelle. They worked a serious game on us. And I remember saying to some friends, I get some weird Central Intelligence Agency vibes from Barack Obama. And I said, now, won't it be funny if y'all set up here, talk all of this yang about the CIA? This man turns out to be a creature of the CIA. I said that in 2008, friends. And of course, just like, I'm thinking of one gentleman in particular who I used to have quite a bit of political screaming matches with on the phone, a friend, but very, very on the other side. And the kind of friend who, and kind of partisan Democrat who would tell you he was absolutely positively A-OK with $5 a gallon gas. Didn't see any problem with that whatsoever. Yes. If our policies lead to $5 a gallon, no, get the hell out of here. Just, you're talking to an absolute partisan when you talk that kind of craziness. But yeah, no problem if it was the CIA. Now, I think we're about to We're about to find something out about that, don't you think? I was watching um, John and Patrick, I think it was Sunday morning. They had done a Saturday night show, I think, and maybe I'm conflating, but somehow there was some subject that had come up, and all of a sudden, bots appeared in the chat. You know, and this is what I mean. Elon is sitting there yesterday with Tucker Carlson having his little interview. They're doing it over 2 days, and he's talking about how it really was Twitter was taken over and had become an intelligence community app. So much so that they're reading DMs. I mean, I think people all over the world right now are going, damn, wait a minute, they read my damn DMs? And yeah, yeah, I think the control factor for the intelligence community, and we don't even have to go back to JFK and his demise, has really gotten out of control. And this is clearly one of the things I think we're going to find. I've said before to people, you're hearing very little about John Brennan, but I think John Brennan is a major target. And you're hearing very little about the City of London Incorporated, but I think the City of London Incorporated, Wall Street, these are targets of how we have to burn down the structure and get America back to being America. We the people, not these bastards who insist they know better than us. I've got a circle of friends I grew up with in high school, I've interacted with, and I've been kind of surprised at people who don't see who Donald Trump is. They don't get it. They just don't get it. And I think part of it is a testimony to just how tremendously good these intelligence services are at understanding human nature, profile, all of the things that are needed for you to effectively do your job in defense of your nation and your national interest. They turn inward, and that was the prohibition. That was why that prohibition was there. We've trained you to have a skill set that you damn well had better not turn on us. And that's what they've done. And I think it's something about human nature. It's not something we can ever, get away from. It is always only something you can mitigate. Sinful nature will be sinful. You can't get away from that. So we have to have, this is again the reason why the major failure, I think, for so many in the corporate world, even in our churches, everywhere, is blinking in the face of a charge, a specious charge, not understanding history. These Soviets had a really good game plan. These communists had a really good game plan, still operational. Still operational. You only can beat us from within, and so they've burrowed in, and they've been allowed to make people not proud of the greatest nation on earth. They've conflated actions taken in furtherance of a central bank system that's not designed to benefit we the people of this nation, but to be controlled in a world controlling fashion by central banks, the invisible enemy. Well, I don't consider those actions taken to be in the interest of the United States of America. No, but I am taking responsibility for doing my part to kill that system that has taken advantage of us. And so that's why I absolutely wasn't content to just sit on a message board bitching and moaning about X, Y, and Z over on this other site I used to enjoy so much. So yeah, we have to take action however we can. I think the Great American Restoration Tour is going to be a time for great discussion. on what is the next phase on how we at Badlands Media as a group are going to try and move forward, and perhaps individual content creators, what are individual content creators going to do on their own, in their own approach. I mean, I certainly am developing mine and thinking mine through. So we're in interesting times. This leads me into a quick discussion about yesterday. And, you know, this is the thing about us and differences of opinion. And what role does healthy skepticism play? You know, it's been another week to me of where, you know, the importance of healthy skepticism cannot be overstated. Yesterday, we have a press conference, and some people are totally disappointed with the Department of Justice and the whole press conference about these police stations in New York. And I'm sitting back trying to figure out why are we disappointed? Honestly, you're disappointed? What did you want the Department of Justice to do yesterday? I'm listening to, you know, disappointment, and I'm thinking, and I'm hearing somebody saying, hey, there's nothing new that was presented here. Okay, damn it. A newspaper article is not the same damn thing as criminal charges. These are fundamentally different things, and you don't get criminal charges proof like that based on some newspaper report. Not if you hope to get a conviction. You've got to dot your I, you've got to cross your T, you've got to take time to compile everything. This is what I keep trying to say to people. But people within our community, especially, and I'm talking about Badlands Media, people within our community, especially, must first give precedence to healthy skepticism and the fact that we don't live in a microwave world. The rule of law does not operate at the snap of a finger. We, of all people, need to understand that there's some craziness going on here, and the mere fact that we're frustrated does not mean a press conference by the Department of Justice is a nothing burger. Criminal charges are not a nothing burger. And if you see what I think I see, you don't have to agree with me, but to me, you have to give some credence to the possibility. This is where healthy skepticism comes in. You have to give some credence to the possibility, I think the probability, that they are piecemeal by piecemeal building a massive RICO case. And when they say, how do you introduce evidence? It's not just that you bring one big RICO case. Maybe what you do is you bring 6, 7, 8 criminal cases coming from different directions. So yeah, they're going to say, as a nation, an element of the United States of America charging a crime against another nation, they're not going to harp on the CCP. It is the People's Republic of China that they necessarily will be harping on in the charge. Anyway, I got really frustrated yesterday. I think we have to get so much better at this. And I know the frustration. I sense the frustration. I'm sympathetic to the frustration. But we've been at this so long now, if you don't understand there's a drip, drip, drip element that must be undertaken. You're not understanding the way the world works and the way we're protected by the world working in this way. We are actually protected by that. Much like we've been protected by the confusion to the enemy approach, which necessarily confuses us too. We just got to accept that. That is the ghost in the machine fact of the matter. We have to rely on these competent professionals to bring about the reinstitution of the rule of law. I'm comfortable with that. I'm very comfortable with that. And I will only become uncomfortable with that when somebody like Donald Trump clearly indicates to me this approach is not working. To me, he's doing exactly the opposite. General Flynn is out there and he's leading the charge. Local action, faith, action, action, action. I mean, this is what I see. Ron DeSantis, to me, leading the charge. Two sovereigns. If you pay attention to what Ron DeSantis is doing, he is hammering home state sovereign, state action. People trying to make him talk about this, that, and the other, but he is taking action at the state level. And Disney World, the idiocy of these people, these California idiots who think you're going to walk into Florida and you're going to pull out some bullshit from the United Kingdom, and you think you're going to tell the state of Florida what the fuck they can't do, you better get the hell out of here. It's stupidity. But this is what these people are reduced to. They are not ready for what's coming. Team Trump has a federal angle they're working, they got state angles they're working. And there are loyal soldiers, Ron DeSantis being one of them, going forward on this. That's how we're going to defeat these people. Anyway, wow. I better get my final two ads done. My plan tomorrow is to get up early, drive to Orlando, stream a show some way, somehow. If it has to be from my car, well and good. And then fly out to Arizona and see what the end's going to be, as the saying goes. But yeah, let me get back over. Oh my goodness. I need to acknowledge, who is that? O'Brien 96. Thank you so much. I will absolutely have an adult beverage on you and enjoy it to the max. And I'll be thinking about you. So maybe next time we'll be able to get together. Yeah. Okay. Ads. Young man, do your job. Do your job. Okay. So let me play this first ad of the 2 block.
Benson Honey Farms delivers raw honey straight from the hive to your table. It is their mission to provide you the best raw honey at the lowest prices possible. By not pasteurizing, overheating, or filtering their honey, Benson Honey Farms ensures that all of its natural pollen and enzymes stay in the honey for maximum health benefits. So cut out the middleman and go straight to the source. Visit BensonHoneyFarms.com and use the rep code BADLANDS to place your order today. That's BensonHoneyFarms.com, rep code BADLANDS.
And did I forget to? Yeah, I forgot to load it. Son of a gun. I want to get this right because I got to get it in the system, and I'll forget tomorrow if I don't go ahead and do it now. I absolutely did forget to load this thing. I remembered to put it in my system, the ad that is I'm talking about. I'm showing my old man nature here. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. I need to figure out, how do I do that? I have to load it. Y'all have to watch the sausage made. Forgive me. Forgive me. Because I want to get this in the system, and you've seen how quickly I can forget to do X. I think I'm about to have success. Are you getting a great night's sleep, ladies and gentlemen? If you aren't, it's time to upgrade your bed with the mattress. My Mattress Topper 2.0 from our friends at MyPillow.com. The My Mattress Topper 2.0 is a 3-inch coil hybrid topper, the perfect blend of comfort foam, support foam, and nano coils. This provides the perfect sleeping surface. Nanocoil technology offers dynamic responses to your body's natural movements, providing superior support as well as reducing partner disturbance. The My Mattress Topper's inner springs transfer heat more efficiently and create a channel for airflow to better regulate sleeping temperatures. It has a patented cover with phase change technology to help keep your body temperature right for you as an individual. And its superior durability resists sagging, settlement, and body impressions. The My Mattress Topper 2.0 comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. You can get your My Mattress Topper 2.0 for as low as $219.59 with the promo code BADLANDS. Just go to mypillow.com/badlands for discounts on all MyPillow products. Okay. Tomorrow, I may just try and walk through another casual, because it's a travel day, a casual conversation with you in the morning, and I'll try to use the chat from today. I'm going to copy the comments in the chat from the day. I've been constantly trying to figure out how I want to do this show systematically, and so far it has not allowed for me to systematically do something structured. And I've been good with that because to me it has worked, given all of the craziness going on in my personal life and in the world. So it has just allowed for some, flexibility, and it's not about trying to have a professional produced show. It's about having a real show with real frustration, personal and otherwise, because that's real life. Life constantly happens to all of us in our own ways, and the chat today has reflected that, and this is one of the things I do love. So I'm going to take time today to go back and read through some of the comments, but I do have in mind that I have constantly been coming across stuff as I surf the internet, whatever, and I'll send myself an email with a link to something, usually from Twitter, that's talking about something relevant to me. For instance, today I have to go subscribe to Stephen Mark Ryan's Twitter feed because he's going the monetization route on Twitter, and I've said before on here, this is certainly one of the things we at Badlands Media are going to need to do, and all content creators as individuals are going to separately need to do. So I want to subscribe to his feed, but I've been sending myself emails and saying, use this on Rattlegator Report. I've been doing this for 2 months, I think, at least. And I don't know that I've used any of them on Rattlegator Report because of just the way everything has played out. So in the future, I do plan on making use of Twitter and some of my regulars who I try to read, a range of people from different perspectives. I'm not trying to overdose on anything left wing, that's for certain. But I do want to see a bit, understand a bit of where they continue to come from. Elon's discussion last night on Fox was fascinating. His criticism of the New York Times, I thought, was absolutely on point. I saw on YouTube, and he was talking about their feed, and they just throw every damn thing in there. You have to curate. People just don't have time to have their Twitter feed bombarded with all these damn articles. So this is partly what I see my job as, maybe bring an interesting article or two to this audience, feed the ripple, let y'all ripple some of this stuff out into our national discourse, and help us continue to march toward total victory. That's my intention, and I hope that's yours. Okay, with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning from Orlando, FLA.